Chazak chazak v'nischazek. We have finally completed Sefer Shemais. And the question is, why does Hashem even need us here? What is the point? What are we doing here? Hashem is so perfect. Why did Hashem want flawed people to be living this world, doing His mission, essentially doing Torah mitzvahs and learning? And why us? Why not angels? What are we even doing here? This week's 2 parshios give us the answer in a way that is clearer than ever before. Because if you think about it, if Hashem wanted angels to be doing the Torah, why would these parshios even be written in the Torah? They're completely redundant. Parshas Terumah and Tetzaveh is Hashem commanding Moshe Rabbeinu all the intricacies of creating this Mishkan. And then we have 2 parshios that are literally complete repetitions of the Jewish people just doing exactly what Moshe Rabbeinu told them to do from Hashem. So if all the details were already given to us in Terumah and Tetzaveh, why don't we just have a one-liner? And the Jewish people did everything Moshe told them to do. And yalla, we would be 2 parshios. The Torah is so careful. Not a single letter, not a single word. But yet these 2 parshios, Terumah, vayakel and pekudei, are just a repetition of Terumah and Tetzaveh. It's like me telling you, and I planned my vacation, and my first stop was to be in Barcelona. And then in Barcelona, I want to stay at this hotel. And then 2 days later, I'm like, 2 months later, I was in Barcelona and I stayed at that hotel. Great, we get it. The plan, you planned it, and then you did it. Why does it have to be repeated? So the Lubavitcher Rebbe tells us the most beautiful idea, which is in Esechan Chelek Aleph, Tafshin Yud Ches, the Rebbe said it, in 1958. The Rebbe explains that the Mishkan of Terumah and Tetzaveh is completely different from the Mishkan of vayakel pekudei. And in Talmud Yerushalmi, it calls it Mishkan Hasheni, the second Mishkan. The first Mishkan that we talk about in Terumah and Tetzaveh is a completely theoretical Mishkan. Its creation and its actual existence is literally just the words of Hashem. It's not a physical structure. It's Hashem telling Moshe and commanding Moshe what it is. It's perfect in its form. It's Hashem's words creating the structure that is literally a 50 amma by 100 amma structure. It's 75 feet by 50 feet. A very small structure. And it's just Hashem telling Moshe what you have to do. The second Mishkan is the Mishkan that the Jewish people made out of brick and mortar. It's a Mishkan that's on desert, in a desert. It's a Mishkan of gold, silver, copper, wood. It's a physical being. It's something that you can feel and touch. If you think about it, the first Mishkan, which is the Mishkan of Hashem words, seems like something that is far more valuable. Now, the question is even stronger. When we look about how much space and energy the Torah gives to the Mishkan. If you think about it, what was so incredible about this Mishkan? It was a temporary structure that really only lasted until the Jewish people came into Eretz Yisrael and then moved around in different places. But it was a temporary structure filling a temporary need. They were in the desert. It's a tiny structure. It's 50 ammas by 100 ammas. It's what's so monumental? If you think about the fact that Hashem created the world, psukim take to Hashem create the world, 31 psukim. 31 psukim, Hashem talks about this world, the fish, the creatures, the sunrise, the sunsets, anatomy, human skin, bugs, the galaxies. Forget Earth. Earth is nothing. Think about the different planets. 31 psukim talking about Hashem creating this entire universe. Now think about the Mishkan. Parshas Terumah is 96 psukim. Parshas Tetzaveh is 101 psukim. Parshas Vayakel is 122 psukim. Parshas Pekudei, 92 psukim. That's 400 psukim. Plus Tzav, plus Shmini, plus Bamidbar, plus Kisisa. Altogether in the Torah, there's about 700 psukim talking about the Mishkan. This temporary structure that was built by mere humans. But the Think about the complexities of this planet and how much the world has to offer and how beautiful and incredible and powerful this world is. 31 psukim. If you think about it, the message is, I think it's my favorite idea in all of Torah. Hashem commands us, Asuli mikdash v'shachanti b'seicham. I want you to create a Mishkan and dwell within it. To understand how Hashem, that is infinite, almighty, that can do everything, Hashem that has no bounds, can create a world. 31 psukim to understand. Like, Hashem can do anything. Hashem is omnipresent. Hashem is inside, infinite. Hashem can create a world. Well, of course Hashem can create a world. Hashem can do anything. Like, click on his finger. But to understand how mere mortal, flawed human beings that are not perfect, that have good days, bad days, that live with brokenness and have hard times and are not consistent and don't always live by what they preach. And even sometimes their values are skewed and sometimes we're not just can't be bothered. The fact that Hashem, that mere mortals can bring infinity, can allow infinity, Hashem, to dwell in this physical world. Infinite, even the word infinite is limiting. Hashem, which is everything, omnipresent, to invite Hashem to live in this physical world that is wood and mortar and gold and silver and copper. To understand how Hashem can live in this world, that takes 700 psukim to understand. And this message is the profundity of why vayakel, precisely why we even have these parshios of vayakel pekudei. Because Teruma and Tetzaveh might be this perfect Mishkan. It's a Mishkan that Hashem created, but it's nowhere near the Mishkan that the Jewish people, with their own flaws, can create in this world. And I think it's true in life. In life, we have these big ideas. We have our plans. We have the way we want life to turn out to be. And the truth is, our theories and the way we want life to turn out to be is never, ever, ever how it practically turns out to be. And sometimes we think the potential state of the way things are in our minds, in our imaginations, is far superior. It's perfect. It's a figment of our imagination. There's nothing that could go wrong. But Hashem is telling us something really powerful. That Hashem is not dwelling in a theoretical structure in the sky. Hashem is dwelling within each and every one of us. And you know who are the ones that are actually making the difference? We are the ones that are making the difference. And we don't have to be perfect. I remember when I started working as a shlucha in Beth Rivka, and I remember the first day, I was 19 years old, I was sitting with my friend Hanala, we were sitting in the principal's room, and we were having all these meetings with the dean and the principal, like what the future of like that year was going to look like. We were 19, we were running this department in like Beth Rivka, and I remember they were rattling on about all our responsibilities, and I remember turning to my friend and I was like, we need to get out, like we can't do this. We're like, you think we can change this entire school? Like, we're 19. What do we know about anything? And I remember Rabbi Safran told us an amazing story. He said once, I don't know if it was his father, I think it was his father, he wrote into the Rebbe and said, like, I can't do this. I can't be the Rosh Yeshiva anymore of my yeshiva. Like, I'm so flawed. I'm not perfect. I can't do this. Who am I? And the Rebbe said, why should everyone miss out because of your low self-esteem? And I think I live with this story subconsciously in a very deep way. The Rebbe chose people that were flawed to change the world. No one's perfect. Hashem wants to dwell within our flaws. There's an amazing Rashi in Parshas Pekudei where the Torah says, Betzalel ben Uri, who was the architect of the Mishkan, says Kol Asher Tziva Hashem es Moshe. The pasuk says, Parak Lamed Ches, that Betzalel did everything that Hashem commands in Moshe. And Rashi asked an obvious question. Hashem commanded Moshe. Bezalel wasn't there. If anything, Bezalel did everything Moshe commanded him to do. The message was passed from Hashem to Moshe to Moshe to Bezalel. How did Bezalel know what Hashem commanded Moshe? So Rashi says something amazing. That what happens, even things that his teacher had not said to do, he figured out on his own what Moshe intended. Bezalel said, surely the usual way to make the house first and afterwards to put the utensils inside. Moshe said, this is the way Hashem said it. So what did Moshe say? Vayakel. The word Bezalel from the word sel. You are a shadow of Hashem. When Moshe told Bezalel to create the Mishkan, he told him, first create the utensils. After you create the utensils, create the structure of the Mishkan. Bezalel said, no, I'm Vayakel. I'm a shadow. What's a shadow? A shadow is not the reality in itself. It's the expression of when the light is blocked by the sun. So too, what is Bezalel telling us? Moshe, in the real world, in the world that we live in, the utilities, the depth has to live in structure. In our world, the structure, the limitations actually allow us to express our insides, express our depth. Moshe said, no, we first need to think about the depth and the wisdom and the internalization of things. When you look at the kelim, they're the deepest parts of the Mishkan. And Bezalel said, no, when we create this Mishkan, we are going to start with the externals. We're going to start with the house. We're going to start with the structure. And after we create the bayit, we create the structure of the Mishkan, we will put the utensils within. And this is what Bezalel did. Bezalel made the dwelling first, and afterwards, in Brachas it says, he made the vessels. This is the power that we have as human beings. Within our limited structure, within our physical bodies, you think how limited we are. We're living in this body. But our body, in a way, sometimes confines us. Our soul is dragged into our body. And sometimes we think, our soul sometimes is like, Nasham, no, I don't want to go, Hashem. Chassidus tells us the exact opposite. That when our neshama comes into our guf, it's the guf that allows the neshama to express itself. It's the mere physical body that allows the soul to express itself. Without the body, how can the soul do a mitzvah? How can the soul wake up out of bed and do mitzvah and help people and change the world? The soul needs the body. The body is powerful. In our flaws, in our brokenness, there we can actually change the world. Full Shabbos.